Chapter 19, Bonus, Confessions of a Property Manager. Welcome to Chapter 19 of the Guide to Short-Term Rental Management. Throughout this extensive course, we have covered the strategies, systems, and best practices essential for professional short-term rental management. For this special bonus chapter, we are taking a slightly different approach. We are stepping away from the formal instruction to share some confessions of a property manager. Every seasoned professional in this industry has a collection of stories. Tales of challenging guests, unexpected mishaps, invaluable lessons learned in the trenches, and importantly, those incredibly rewarding moments that make it all worthwhile. The aim here is not to scare you, but to share some real-world perspectives, a bit of humor, and some hard-won wisdom from those who have been there. Let us be honest. If you are in property management long enough, you will eventually encounter what can only be described as nightmare guests. These are the experiences that test your patience, your policies, and sometimes your sanity. But they also forge your expertise in handling difficult situations. The key is not avoiding them entirely, which is impossible, but knowing how we handled them and what lessons were learned. One common scenario many managers confess to is dealing with the unauthorized party. Imagine getting an alert from a noise sensor late on a Saturday night, or a call from a distressed neighbor about loud music and far too many people at one of your properties, despite clear house rules prohibiting parties. The first step is always to verify the situation as quickly and safely as possible. This might involve reviewing security camera footage, exterior only, of course, and always disclosed, or if you have local staff, a drive-by, or a polite but firm visit. Once confirmed, swift communication with the registered guest is important, reminding them of the no-party rule and the consequences outlined in their rental agreement. In many cases, a firm warning is enough. However, if the situation escalates or the guests are uncooperative, you have to be prepared to enforce the terms of your agreement, which might, in extreme cases, involve coordinating with local law enforcement for an eviction. The aftermath often involves dealing with extra cleaning, potential damages, and soothing ruffled neighbor relations. The big learning point here is the absolute importance of crystal clear house rules in your listings and guest agreements. Utilizing guest screening practices where feasible and legally permitted, leveraging smart home technology like noise sensors, and having a well-defined, firm but fair enforcement process. Another type of nightmare is the excessively demanding guest, the one for whom nothing is ever quite right, who has a constant stream of requests, often outside the scope of what is reasonable or offered, or who finds fault with the tiniest imperfection. Handling these situations requires a delicate balance of maintaining professional hospitality while also protecting your time and resources. Clear, calm, and documented communication is key. Refer back to what was promised in the listing and the guest agreement. Politely set boundaries on what you can and cannot provide. Sometimes it is about choosing your battles, perhaps accommodating a minor, easy-to-fulfill request to de-escalate, while firmly but politely declining those that are unreasonable or impossible. The learning moment is often about refining your communication strategies. Ensuring your listings are impeccably accurate to prevent mismatched expectations, and documenting every interaction meticulously in case of a future dispute or unfair review. General strategies that veterans confess to relying on include always trying to stay calm under pressure, consistently referring back to the terms of the guest agreement and house rules, documenting absolutely everything: photos, messages, incident reports, prioritizing the safety of the property and other individuals, and knowing when it is appropriate and necessary to involve booking platforms or, in rare cases, local authorities. While challenging situations are part of the job, property management also comes with its share of hilarious property mishaps. Those moments that, perhaps not always funny at the exact time they occur, become legendary stories shared with a chuckle amongst colleagues later on. These confessions often highlight the wonderfully unpredictable nature of dealing with properties and people. One property manager shared a story about the lost pet that was not lost. A guest called in absolute panic, convinced their beloved cat had escaped from the vacation rental. The manager and their local team sprang into action, launching a full-scale search of the property and the immediate neighborhood, a process that consumed several hours and caused considerable stress. After much searching and consoling of the distraught guest, the cat was eventually discovered, fast asleep inside a zipped-up suitcase in the back of the guest's own car, where it had apparently been napping since their arrival. The learning point amidst the relieved laughter was the importance of maintaining composure even in a guest's panic, and perhaps adding, "Check your own luggage for napping pets," to the informal troubleshooting checklist. Then there are the confessions about the bizarre item left behind. Cleaners have found some truly astonishing things in properties after guests check out. Everything from a single, inexplicably placed rubber chicken to a full set of bagpipes to a rather extensive collection of garden gnomes arranged on the patio. While often baffling, these discoveries usually end up being more amusing than problematic. The learning moment here is simply to expect the unexpected and to have a good, clear, lost and found process in place. Even for the most bizarre of items, ensure you attempt to contact the guest about their forgotten treasures. These kinds of stories remind us that a sense of humor is a valuable asset in this profession. Beyond the dramatic or humorous, some of the most valuable confessions from property managers revolve around those important learning moments from the field. Mistakes made or unexpected situations encountered that led to significant lessons and ultimately improved processes and a stronger business. These are the experiences that shape a manager's expertise. One common confession involves the underestimated maintenance job. A seemingly small repair request comes in, perhaps a dripping faucet or a loose door handle. It looks like a quick fix, so it is assigned to a handyman without too much deep investigation. However, the small drip turns out to be a symptom of a much larger plumbing issue requiring specialist work, or the loose handle is attached to a door that is actually rotting from within. The job escalates, causing unexpected delays for guests, significantly higher costs than anticipated, and frustrated communications with the property owner. The hard-won learning point here is the importance of conducting a thorough diagnosis of reported maintenance issues, especially in older properties. It also underscores the value of obtaining multiple quotes for any non-emergency repairs that appear complex, incorporating some buffer time into your repair schedules to handle unforeseen complications, and maintaining clear, proactive communication with property owners about possible complexities and evolving cost estimates. Another frequent learning moment arises from the miscommunication with a vendor. You hire a contractor for a specific task, provide verbal instructions, and assume everyone is on the same page. Later, you discover the vendor performed incorrect work, or perhaps did not complete the job to your standards, all due to a misunderstanding of the initial instructions. This can lead to rework, added expense, and guest inconvenience. The confession here often leads to a key learning point about the absolute necessity of using detailed, written work orders for all vendor assignments, clearly outlining the scope of work, the specific materials to be used, and desired outcomes. It also highlights the importance of verbally confirming understanding with vendors before they commence work, and, where possible, inspecting the work promptly upon completion to catch any issues early. Then there is the confession about being caught off guard by a regulatory blind spot. You think you are fully compliant with all local short-term rental ordinances, and then a new interpretation is issued, or a previously unenforced rule suddenly becomes a priority for local authorities, requiring a mad scramble to bring all your managed properties into compliance. This type of experience painfully teaches the learning moment about the constant and evolving nature of short-term rental regulations. It reinforces the need for proactive and ongoing regulatory monitoring, perhaps by subscribing to local council updates or joining industry associations, and the importance of building adaptable systems and processes that can be adjusted relatively quickly in response to new legal requirements. These from the field learning moments, while sometimes stressful at the time, are invaluable for continuous improvement and building operational resilience. While we have shared confessions about challenges, it is equally important to confess that property management is filled with incredibly rewarding guest and owner experiences. These are the moments that provide deep job satisfaction and reaffirm the positive impact professional managers can have. Many managers confess that some of their most rewarding guest experiences come from playing a small part in a guest's major life event. Imagine a couple arriving to celebrate their 50th wedding anniversary. Perhaps your team arranged for a small bouquet of flowers and a congratulatory note to be in the property upon their arrival, based on information shared during the booking process. The guests are overjoyed. Their stay is perfect, and they leave a heartfelt thank you note or a glowing 5-star review praising not just the property, but the thoughtful hospitality that made their milestone celebration feel extra special. These moments, where a small, personalized touch has a big emotional impact, highlight the profound value of the human element in hospitality and the joy that comes from genuinely making someone's trip memorable. Equally, there are deeply rewarding owner experiences. A common confession is the immense satisfaction derived from taking on an underperforming property for an owner who is stressed, losing money, or simply overwhelmed with the demands of self-management. Through professional pricing strategies, improved marketing, efficient operations, and excellent guest service, you help turn that property into a successful, profitable short-term rental. The owner is relieved of their stress, starts achieving their financial goals for the asset, and expresses genuine gratitude for your expertise and partnership. Building that kind of trust and delivering tangible, positive results for your clients is an incredibly rewarding aspect of the profession. These experiences underscore the satisfaction that comes from building strong, trust-based partnerships and delivering real, measurable value to property owners. These positive confessions serve as a powerful reminder of why many professionals are passionate about this industry. To conclude our confessions chapter, we have gathered some collective wisdom, the kind of advice to future managers from industry veterans that often comes from years of experience, lessons learned, and a deep understanding of what it truly takes to succeed in short-term rental property management. First and foremost, virtually every veteran would confess that you should invest in good systems early. Do not wait until you are drowning in manual tasks and overwhelmed by growth. Implement a robust property management system. Establish clear financial tracking and develop your operational processes from the beginning. It is far easier to scale good systems than to try and fix broken ones later. Another universal piece of advice is to document everything meticulously. This includes all contracts with owners, guests, and vendors. Every significant communication, detailed records of incidents, thorough financial transactions, and comprehensive property inventories. In the event of any dispute or issue, clear documentation is often your best protection and the key to a fair resolution. Veterans also stress the importance of building a reliable network. This includes cultivating relationships with trustworthy vendors, such as plumbers, electricians, and cleaners, connecting with other property managers in your area for shared learning and support, and building contacts within your local business community. This network will be an invaluable resource. A constant refrain is to prioritize communication. Clear, proactive, and empathetic communication with your property owners, your guests, and your internal team. So many problems can be prevented or mitigated through excellent communication. The short-term rental industry is not static, so a key piece of advice is to never stop learning. Stay curious. Keep up to date with new technologies, evolving guest trends, and the constantly changing regulatory landscape. Attend industry events, read trade publications, and continuously seek to improve your skills and knowledge. Perhaps a tougher lesson that many veterans confess to learning over time is the importance of learning to say no. This means saying no to taking on unsuitable properties that do not fit your portfolio or standards. Saying no to problematic owner clients whose expectations are completely unreasonable. And sometimes saying no to unreasonable guest demands. Protecting your business, your brand, and your own sanity sometimes requires making difficult decisions about what business you will and will not accept. And finally, a heartfelt piece of advice from many seasoned professionals is to take care of yourself. Short-term rental property management can be a very demanding job, with unexpected issues arising at all hours. It is important to implement strategies to manage stress, maintain a healthy work-life balance where possible, and avoid burnout to ensure your own long-term sustainability in this rewarding career. This completes Chapter 19. We hope these confessions have provided some insightful, humorous, and ultimately encouraging perspectives on the real world of short-term rental property management. In our final chapter, Chapter 20, we will focus on final thoughts and action steps to help you synthesize everything you have learned and move forward with confidence.